Earlier this year, Allan Asquez, owner of the Murga Bar and 3 kiosks at the Victoria Stadium, was issued a certificate terminating his tenancy. The governor used his authority under Section 66 of the Landlord and Tenant Act to issue the certificate. The section empowers the governor to end tenancies when the property being redeveloped is deemed of public economic interest. Mr Asquez's lawyer Charles Gomez argues that his client should constitutionally be entitled to compensation for an extended term of residency, as well as an offer of an alternative place in the newly redeveloped property. Mr Gomez says such a certificate can only be issued if the government owns the land. However, he argues that the land is actually possessed by private entity GFA National Stadium Limited, pointing to a sale of the stadium to the GFA worth £16.5 million in 2018. Taking the question of who owns the land further, Mr Gomez also argued that the land's primary landlord was the Crown, and this didn't necessarily mean the government. Mr Gomez goes on to say that the governor forms part and parcel of the government of Gibraltar, acting on its advice in issuing the certificate, and says the office of the governor signed off on the GFA deal. He says this creates an issue of institutional bias and that the governor should have recused himself from the matter. Public and human rights lawyer Lord Pannick shot down Mr Gomez's arguments, highlighting the need to look at the constitutional realities of the case. He argued that the reality of who owns the land was that the powers and functions of the Crown are performed by ministers. He argued that although there might be value in being able to choose a relocation in the new build or an extended period of time at the premises, the absence of this was not a breach of constitutional rights because it still allowed for reasonable compensation. On the subject of the governor's role or alleged conflict in the decision, Lord Pannick argued that Sir Ben Bathurst was acting in a quasi-judicial role and that he had an obligation not to arrive at a condition that is satisfactory or requested by the government, but to consider the merits. He said there was no evidence to suggest the governor did not take these responsibilities seriously. He said that the governor's main question in issuing the certificate would be whether the decision was in the public interest of Gibraltar's economic development, and that it was appropriate he take such a decision precisely because of his status as an independent and impartial person. The Chief Justice will now deliberate on the submissions.